Okay, picture this. We are on the factory floor of Titanium Robotics. You can practically feel the tension in the air. We've just told their audit committee something they did not want to hear, that they have a major weakness in their internal controls. So the planning phase is over. Now the real audit begins. We're on the hunt for hard proof, and believe me, the stakes could not be higher.
And this is the number that started it all. 80 crores. It's a staggering amount, right? That's what Titanium Robotics claims they're owed by a single distributor, a company called Apex Automations. A number that big, it can literally make or break a company, especially one that's trying to go public. You better believe this is the one item on their books we absolutely have to verify.
Which brings us to the big looming question of this whole case file. The CFO, he strolls in and hands us this beautiful, perfectly organized, glossy binder. But after what we already know about their shaky controls, we just can't take his word for it. We have to ask ourselves, is this binder full of real, solid evidence, or is it just a very, very convincing illusion?
To answer that, we don't rely on gut feelings. We go by the book. And the first chapter in our playbook for this mission is Standard on Auditing 500. This is the Auditor's Guide for Audit Evidence. This is our golden rule.
This is the story the CFO is selling us, and he's got the perfect binder to back it up. He's so smooth, so confident. Maybe a little too confident, you know? And that perfect paper trail he's so proud of? Well, for an experienced auditor, something that looks too perfect is often the biggest red flag of all.
So, what's the whole point of SA 500? It really all comes down to two very important words: sufficient and appropriate. See, it's not enough to just have a giant pile of documents. We need enough of the right kind of proof before we can sign off on our final opinion. Seriously, those two words, they are the entire ballgame.
Let's break that down, because this is key. Sufficiency is pretty straightforward. It's all about quantity. Do we have enough stuff? But the real muscle is in appropriateness. That's all about quality. Is the evidence reliable? Is it even relevant to what we're testing? I mean, think about it. You can have a mountain of junk evidence, but at the end of the day, it's still just junk. You need both of these pillars to be rock solid.
And here's where the CFO's whole case starts to fall apart. SA 500 actually gives us a hierarchy, a ranking of what makes evidence reliable. And right at the top, evidence from independent outside sources. The CFO's binder is all internal. And the rule is crystal clear. Internal evidence is only reliable if the company's controls are effective. We already know Titanium's controls are broken, which means that entire beautiful glossy binder, it's basically built on a foundation of sand.
So, if we can't trust the evidence from inside the company, we have to go outside. And this is where we pull out one of the most powerful tools in our kit, Standard on Auditing 505 External Confirmations. This is our direct line to the truth. It's how we cut through all the internal noise and bypass management entirely.
Now listen closely to the wording here. It's really important. A direct written response to the auditor from a third party. This is not a game of telephone. We don't ask the CFO to ask his customer a question for us. No. We, the auditors, reach out directly to Apex Automations, and their answer comes straight back to us. No middlemen, no chance for interference.
Now, we have a choice to make. We could send what's called a negative confirmation, which basically says, hey, only write back if this number is wrong. But that's pretty weak evidence. Silence doesn't mean agreement. So for a number as massive and as high risk as 80 crores, it's a complete no-brainer. We are sending a positive confirmation. We need Apex Automations to write back to us and say point blank, yes, we agree we owe this amount, or tell us exactly what their books say.
It forces a direct answer. It's the gold standard. So, we've drafted the letter. It's addressed to Apex, but the return address is our office. It's sealed and ready to go. And then, just as we're about to mail it, the door to our conference room creaks open. It's the CFO. And I'm telling you, the mood in the room just plummets. He's so smooth, so reasonable. Just let us handle it, he says, trying to frame it as just good customer service. He's pretending he's trying to help us out, but we see it for exactly what it is. This isn't about being helpful. This is about taking control.
And we know in that instant what he's trying to do. If his team sends that letter, how do we know it even gets mailed? Or, even worse, what if a reply comes back and his team intercepts it, changes it, before it ever gets to us? This isn't some friendly offer. It's a direct attempt to interfere with our audit.
This is one of those make or break moments in an audit. We can't let him get under our skin. We have to stick to the standards. And luckily for us, SA 505 has a very specific, very clear playbook for this exact situation. And here it is, our defense, straight out of the rule book. The standard is unambiguous. The auditor, and only the auditor, maintains control over the entire confirmation process. We decide what to confirm, we pick who to ask, we design the letter, and most importantly, we send it and we get the reply. The CFO's little offer is a direct violation of this fundamental principle.
So, our response has to be firm, it has to be professional, and it has to come straight from the standards. We use a very powerful phrase, scope limitation. Now, that's not a threat. It's a formal audit term. It means that management is actively preventing us from doing our job, and that has incredibly serious consequences for our final report. And with those words, the CFO finally backs down. So what are the big takeaways from this whole encounter? First, SA 500 teaches us that not all evidence is created equal. When you know internal controls are weak, you have to prioritize high-quality external proof. Second, SA 505 is the tool, it's that direct line that you use to get that proof. And finally, the absolute golden rule you can never, ever forget. The auditor must always maintain control over that confirmation process. It's the only way you can be sure the evidence you get back is the real deal.
So, the letter goes out, under our control. But as the CFO leaves the room, this chilling new thought starts to creep in. We were so focused on proving the amount was correct, but his desperation to stop that letter from being sent, it raises a much, much scarier question. Why would he try so hard to interfere? What if the problem isn't the number on the invoice? What if Apex Automations isn't even a real company at all? And that is a whole other investigation.